Today I'll be showing you 3 chess traps that'll get you winning at the beginner level. So this first one is for the black pieces. Happens after e4, e5, and some normal developing moves. This is probably the most used opening at the beginner level, because develop like this, they're probably going for some fried liver stuff. And here you go, knight d4. Of course, if they take your knight, you take back, and then you just get natural development. Nothing too complicated. But if they take your pawn, here's where it gets really interesting. You go queen g5. Attacks this pawn and this pawn. Likely, white will go knight takes f7, because it's the most natural move. It looks like it forks your queen and your rook. But now you go queen g2. You attack this rook, so if they take your rook, you take their rook. But if they move their rook, thinking that they've escaped, nothing possibly worse can go wrong. Now you take on e4. This king has got nowhere to go. It's got nowhere to go. So there's only 2 ways to block. With the queen, in which you'll take the queen if it goes there, or with the bishop, which is where it gets really nice. Knight f3 is a smothered checkmate. King is boxed in by its own pieces. This bishop can't take because it's pinned. That's a very nice trap, and it'll probably get you winning a lot. This next trap is for the white pieces, and it happens in the Caro-Kann. If they go c6, you go d4. d4 is probably the most popular move after c6 because you're playing for the center. If they let you get the center, then you take it. And then they go d5. Now there's 2 most popular moves are to take and push, but now we go bishop to d3. And bishop d3 is a very sneaky move. It's preparing to put this bishop on a long diagonal, and bishop d3 is a very common move for white in the Caro-Kann. Now, Engine says about equal, but I've seen players here with black mess up and go knight f6, which just looks like a really natural move. You're attacking this pawn. Now it's got 2 attackers and only 1 defender. So if white doesn't do anything to defend this pawn, black will take it and win it. But now you go e5. And now if you can lock the center and attack the knight, kick around the knight, it's probably a good move. If they go knight e4, f3 traps a knight. If they go knight g4, it's the same thing, h3. And if they go knight h5, then it just hangs a knight. So the most natural move is to go knight d7. If they went to g8, it's just bad. Undeveloping a knight is never good. And now you go e6. What does e6 do? Well, it attacks this knight, and if this knight moves, you take this pawn, and the king has lost his castling rights. You should probably go and attack it. But the most natural move, if black is a beginner, then it's to take this pawn, because it looks like no harm is done. But what taking this pawn does is weaken your king diagonal. Also, it doubles your pawns too. But now you can go queen h5. And you see what this bishop and queen are doing? They're crisscrossing and they intersect at this point. So after g6, you can sacrifice the bishop with bishop g6. It'll lead to the same thing. But if you want to get cheesy with it, then you should probably take with the queen. And then it's checkmate, because this king only has 1 diagonal to go. And you'll notice that taking the pawn weakened this light squared diagonal. Okay. And for the final trap I have for you is for the black pieces after something like d4. After d4, we go e5, the England Gambit. And now the England Gambit is very powerful for people rated under 1200. It's like a weapon that you should probably keep in your arsenal at all times. So they'll take your pawn, of course, and then you go knight c6 attacking this pawn. And they'll defend with a knight, probably. If they don't defend it, then you just take this pawn. And then you go queen e7, attacking the pawn once more. The only logical way to defend this is with bishop f4. By the way, this can happen in any move order. For example, if they go bishop f4 first, you still go queen e7, and you've arrived at the same position. But they'll go bishop f4, now you go queen b4. If they do nothing, then you're going to take this bishop because it's a fork. So they'll likely go back to d2. And now you take on b2. And I've seen some players here, there's only 1 move that's good, and it's knight c3. But if they do mess up with something like bishop c3, I've seen a lot of players do this. It's one of the most popular moves in the position. Nearly 2 million people have done this wrong. It defends this rook, because if you take, and then the bishop takes, and it attacks his queen. So it looks like this queen has to move, but the queen does not move. You first go bishop b4. They can't take your queen because your bishop is pinning. Now, if they take your bishop, it's bad. You're attacking the c2 pawn, and you're attacking this rook. But if they don't take and they instead go queen d2, thinking they've broke the pin and now I'm ready to take your queen, now you take the bishop. And it looks like fine. Of course, if they take with the knight, you take with the rook and you're up an entire rook. But sometimes they take with the queen, and now you sneak into c1, and it's checkmate. It's a beautiful checkmate. Just this king alone and this queen right there. Well, I hope this video served you well, and I'll see you later.